Hello, Jim Howard here. I don't need to give you the date or time. I don't know what to do. I'm getting ready to have, I guess it's breakfast. It's very inexpensive and it's good. Not bad at all. It's microwavable. You just tear the wrapping off and you put water up to the line, and you put water in and then you cook it for 5 minutes in the microwave. And then you, which I've done now, and then you peel this back and you pour in this sauce packet, and it's pretty good. And like I said, it's inexpensive. In fact, I'm going to pause this for a second, but don't touch the mouse because I'll be right back. Have to remember to hit the right one. Pause. I finished my noodles. There it is. So I finished the noodles. Wanted to tell you that, let's see, CNN is reporting that UPS service and Teamsters have reached a labor deal, potentially avoiding a crippling strike, because wait a minute, here we go. I don't know, in the last week or so, I'm not sure, maybe the last 2 weeks, I've mentioned several times that the UPS, it looked like, was going to go on strike, and that UPS delivers 82% of the products that come to our house. I mentioned, I think, each time that I thought, that's 82%. It was surprising to me that it was so big of a number. Also, what was it? 82%. Anyway, it looked like they were going to go on strike, and it was going to be, but it looks like here that a settlement, a deal may have been made. UPS is union, I mean, the workers there are unionized, the Teamsters, I believe, and they make very good money, and they have good benefits and everything else. The thing says UPS and the Teamsters have reached a tentative deal on a new contract. This could potentially avoid a strike, which could have started as soon as next week and crippled U.S. supply chains. The union represents 330,000 UPS employees in the United States. So it looks like no UPS strike. I've got a package here that needs to go out UPS. It's that Verizon modem that I was sent that didn't work out. Verizon sent me a UPS label to send this thing out, and I think I mentioned this, so I won't dwell on it, but I don't have to pay to return it, which is nice. And the label, I called UPS, and a lady answered, and I think she acted like I got the wrong number, she said, "Well, I can take care of it for you." And she entered the information. And she says, "I'll pick it up today." And this was the other day. This was last week or whatever. And they never came. So then finally I called back. Well, first I tried logging in. That didn't do any good. I forget what the reason was. It just didn't do any good logging in. They couldn't find my, log in and that kind of information. So then I tried calling in, and I got sent from place to place, which I don't think I ever answered, actually. I got automated, messages. And they said that of course, the thing was that if you could you can give it to any UPS driver that you see. I mean, if it's somebody down the street and you see a UPS truck or whatever, you can just give it to them. No charge. Anyway, they said, the automated system said that I could pay $10 and they would come and pick it up. And I hated to pay $10. I mean, I waste a lot of money, but so I still got that package to go out. I've got a couple things I need to send out, so I'm thinking about logging in and having, paying the shipping fee or whatever, and have them come to pick it up, and when they picked it up, and take this too, which they would, So I don't know what I'm going to do. I need to get it back to them. I've got about a month to get it back to them, and then they want to charge me $300. I'm sure, though, they would, be happy to get the product back. See what else is going on. Ex-Navy pilot explains why UFOs are a big national security concern. Everybody's talking about the movie Barbie. And then there's another movie that plant-based and cow milk are not nutritionally equal. Biden's dog has bit somebody else again. President Biden's dog. I wonder if Biden could somehow get the Democrats to turn. Well, there's no place I think that the Republicans all. Maybe you could take it to the Capitol and put it in some kind of a conference room or something. Make sure there's no Democrats in it, but just put it in with the Republicans. I'm joking, of course. A Russian fighter jet damages a U.S. military drone over Syria. What are cardiac arrest, heart attacks, and heart failure? Is your school equipped to save a life? That's CPR, really. I was a CPR instructor for years. And I CPR, really. I mean, we see the movies and you see things, you see maybe a YouTube video or something where somebody, bring somebody back, by CPR. And no, that CPR is not, I mean, it's better than, but it's not that dependable, not that good. It's not the way it appears on TV and the videos that you happen to see. But the defibrillators that they now have out, they have them, I think, on aircraft, they have them at schools, they have them a whole bunch of places, they have that. And there's instructions on it. Of course, you would hope that everybody that works at the school, everybody from the principal to the janitor or food service or whatever, everybody should learn how to use it. Because the type of attack some people have is where you just have a flat line or something, and CPR is not going to do any good at all. But I made a video, YouTube video someplace. I never be able to find it because of I don't have an indexing system or whatever. But I was CPR, instructor, and I certified, and I certified that, people at the small hospital that I worked at, security, and then I went down to the main hospital and, was certifying, getting them their CPR certificate and stuff, card. I'll abbreviate this in a way, but because I've told the story before. A nurse, part-time, RN, in the emergency room, was going on vacation, and we were in a small hospital. Everybody knew everybody, and I told her, I said, we're doing CPR here, and such, you ought to do it now before you go on vacation or whatever. She was a born-again Christian. She had a bunch of kids, a whole bunch of kids, no television set. They didn't have a television set, and homeschooled a whole bit, but really nice lady. And her kids were really nice, and her husband was really nice. But anyway, she kind of liked to stir stuff up. I think it was because at home, this is my thinking, that her husband was like the head of the family, and because he was the same sex as Jesus or something, I guess, and I think she had to put up with I think she was an independent young woman. Both of them went to Bible college. That's where they met, and I think she was just kind of rebellious, but she couldn't be, at home, and because she would do some stuff that, and I think that's partially why she, didn't do, that was one way she could rebel. And she could rebel at the hospital, or she could go watch television if the ER wasn't busy. She'd go over, and there was a couple of shows that I think there was only one she really liked. I forget what it was. I mean, it wasn't wasn't anything bad. I mean, it would go against her religion or anything. But she liked it. A few times, there'd be somebody new in the emergency room, and the phone would ring, and it'd be Penny's husband. And the nurse would say, "Oh, I'll get her. She's watching television." And then the other people would go, "Oh, And then Penny'd come back. No, I wasn't watching television. No. But so anyway, Penny showed up from vacation and came in, and she came at 6 p.m. to go to work. And there was a notice there that no nurse or employee can work, in the hospital, and unless you have your CPR certification, done. Maybe it wasn't. I mean, everybody had to do CPR. But maybe the thing, since it was there in the emergency room, maybe it was nurse, maybe this was all, So anyway, Penny showed up, and what am I going to do, Although I think she'd have been happy to go home at midnight, but then they'd have to find somebody to come in at midnight. So I said, well, I don't have a mannequin out here, but I said, let's just go through it, and I'll give you your certification. So we went through it without the mannequin. And then I told her, okay, in the morning when you're going home, I forget the name of the lady, a nurse that was a CPR instructor also. And I said, she's going to see you, and she's going to say, oh, I need to get you certified. And I said, do not tell her, Penny, do not say, oh, it's all taken care of, I don't need it, Jim certified me, I said, tell her that, I did the certification, gave you your card, and told you that when we had a mannequin out here, we'd go through that part of the thing. I sort of knew this was going to happen, because that's sort of the way she, and sure enough, that's what I found out she did. I found out that she did it because that nurse that was a CPR instructor, well, there was stuff going on between her and police officers and other stuff. And like when she was doing the CPR, I was doing the CPR certification with, it was 3 of us, I think. And one of them was the main nurse from the main hospital who was in charge of the entire department of education or something, whatever it was. It had CPR under it and everything else, and she came out to do it. And there was this other nurse laying on the floor in the hospital, braless, obviously braless. She wasn't, she didn't work that day. She came in, so. And she had called all the police and firemen and told them that she was going to be doing CPR there, and if they needed their CPR, that they could come up there. And then she was laying on the floor and not using a mannequin and saying, get on me and whatever. So, so when I came in after, I was there, and then I went home, and then I came back that night or the next, whatever. The nurses, ER nurses especially, Jim, you were here for this, for the CPR thing, and we heard the story that, she was laying on the floor, and I said, I don't know anything. Jim, you do too, No, I said, I don't know anything, because I made up my mind, I don't know. And so they finally started dying down a bit, but after, they were wanting to know, what happened. Tell us the truth, I don't know anything. Then there was 2 security officers that worked out to me and this other guy. And this other guy, he had no previous, he wasn't too smart. So anyway, so I was coming in, at that time we had 2 days a week where we actually relieved the other security officer or something. I forget how the schedule went. But anyway, so I hadn't seen him in days. So he comes in, and he said, anything going on, Jim? And I said, you should have been here the other day. And I told him, what the nurses wanted to hear that I didn't tell him, And then so a couple of days later, I was getting ready to go home, and here comes that nurse who was laying on the floor with EMTs and paramedics, And she said, I'm sick and tired of you talking about me. And I said, I haven't said anything about you. And she said, you did too. You told Fletcher. And then she quoted me exactly what I told Fletcher. So, okay, that was before. So when I did the CPR on, the training for Penny, then this lady nurse, she turned me in to the hospital, which, for doing CPR, improperly without a mannequin or something like that. And of course, the truth be known, I saw ICU nurse who was a CPR instructor at the hospital, and ICU nurse would be getting off duty after working a 12-hour shift, and the the nurse would say, "Here, here's your card. Go on. I know you're tired," and stuff like that. I saw stuff like that going. Stuff happens like that. But anyway, she turned me in. So the supervisor comes out. I said, "Yep, yep, I did. I certified somebody without, And so they suspended me for 3 days without pay. The hospital did. And the write-up was, when I was written up, falsification of hospital documents or something like that. That is something that, like a nurse or somebody marks down that they gave, Demerol or something, it's something like that. That's a serious thing, those type of things. That thing is a serious thing to be on your record. It stays on your record if you work at the hospital. Even though I was just a security, it wouldn't have mattered if I'd have been a housekeeping or food service or whatever. If they wrote you up for falsification of hospital documents, that's not a good thing. Anyway, I got 3 days off and everything, but I really wasn't upset. The director of security was kind of new, but he was a good man. We had a bad director of security for years. And this new guy was okay. Everybody thought, all the other 24 security officers thought I didn't like the new one, the new director. No, he did great. He made tremendous improvements. I liked him. But he wrote me up a couple times, 2 or 3 times, and it was for things I really didn't do. But there was a lieutenant down there who had been there a long time, and he didn't like me. And I did a grievance against him because he was told by the old director of security who was quitting, I don't want Jim Howard going out to, to where I lived in the town, type. And so every opportunity he got, the lieutenant down there, he was telling people bad things about me. Like at this small hospital I worked at, a new doctor, for the emergency room. He turns up and he worked, I don't know, a while, a month or 2 or 3 or something like that. And he said, "Jim, you seem really cool. And it doesn't seem like I've seen you in action here. It doesn't seem like you get angry or upset. You just do your job." He says, "Can I tell you something and you won't get..." I said, "Tell me, And then he said that he didn't know who he was, but that's who it was, the lieutenant or whatever. He said, "This guy stopped me down there." He says, "I don't know how he knew, but," he says, "you're a new doctor for research at Belton Hospital." "Yeah." "Okay, you got to watch that Jim Howard, that security officer out there. He's a no-good backstabbing son of a bitch." And then another doctor later on, a month or whatever, same type of thing. "Jim, can I tell you something, Yeah. I don't think you'll get upset or mad about it because you just seem so cool every time something happens." And it was the same story, So anyway, I got written up altogether 3 times by the new director of security. And I really didn't care because, okay, let's be honest with each other. By the way, I wasn't married, by the way, at that time. I was divorced. I certified a nurse from another hospital who worked in the intensive care unit who needed her CPR certification. And I didn't make her do the test or anything. I was sleeping with her. So I just gave her the card, so okay. So I felt like, hey, they didn't get me for that, and so they did get me for something that I really didn't do, and shouldn't have gotten. And there's several times that I just felt like it evened out. The director of security was so much better, and he was smart, although he thought he was smarter than everybody else. And probably in a lot of ways he'd be smarter than I was, except I had worked hospital security for about 30 years, and I had seen it all, and I told him, I ended up on, well, I recommended to him, I said, what you ought to do, when he came, what can I do, and I said, you ought to set up one person from each shift and meet with them every 3 or 4 months and just ask their opinion on different things, And he did that. Of course, he never gave me any credit for it, but I didn't want any credit for it. And of course, unfortunately, because I worked at that small hospital, I was on the thing. Everybody else at the main hospital, there was, they'd pick one and then they would pick from another shift and another, shift, that I was on the thing permanently. And, so anyway, he wrote me up for some things that he should not have written me up for, but I got by for some things that I did do that I would have been, that I could have been, he could have written me up for. And so I figured, okay, I'm even. So, that's the whole point. How long have I been? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'll make this real quick. So, after that happened, I, did a YouTube video, and it was after I had my pacemaker put in, by the way. I think it was my first pacemaker. And I made a YouTube video, and I said that, I went down, after I had my pacemaker put in, the next day, well, I went home that day. Yeah, they put it in, and I went home that day. And so the next day I walked down a couple blocks away to making a video for you guys, a walking and talking video. And it took me a while making it there, and then it took me a while making it back. And it just happened that when I went, it got, night, or went into twilight or whatever it was. So, I walked down in the daylight, and I'm coming back making a video. And then there was a whole bunch of blackbirds or something, and the light poles up there, sitting up there. And then when I was walking through, they all started flying, and I made that. And then in the video, I said, it took me a long time to go there and get back, and that on the way back I was kind of concerned because there were vultures up in the light fixtures. They weren't vultures, of course, They were up there waiting for me, thinking I was going to drop or whatever. Okay, that's two different stories. Okay, I'm gonna go over a little bit. Okay, now that one, I posted it, and a lady left a message on my comment section. Oh my God, she said, oh, that was so sad. I'm so sad. I'm so worried about you or whatever. And anyway, but the good one is when I get them mixed up a little bit. So anyway, forget about that one for now. When I was, when they took away my CPR certification, or CPR, and they didn't take away mine, but they took away as a CPR instructor. And I got written up, for 3 days off for, certifying that nurse. But I made a video, and I talked about it. I did not mention that I was having sex with another nurse, not at our hospital, at Truman Medical Center. I didn't put that in there. The story's better this way. So anyway, I told, I certified this nurse, and I was suspended for 3 days, and they without pay, and they took away my, of course, I was no longer a CPR instructor. And I said, yeah, I said what they did, all the CPR instructors lined up. They had their training batons that they used for training, for pointing to the blackboard and stuff like that. They lined up, and I said, they ripped off my, we didn't have any patches. I had a shirt that I wore when I did CPR that said no code red, or no code blue. Don't do a code blue on me, you know, to be funny. But anyway, so I said, you know, all these other instructors, you know, they lined up, and then they ripped off my insignia. They ripped off this, and they broke my training baton. They broke that and threw it on the ground. And then as I walked through the 2 rows, we didn't have that many instructors, you know, they all turned their back on me. And anyway, and I posted that. And a lady left a comment, a lady again, you know, I don't have that many women, I don't think, or maybe not. Anyway, she said, I can't believe that they did that to you. It just broke my heart. I can't believe that they would do that to you. She says, I cried for you. That is just so terrible. How could they treat somebody like you like that? And I loved that story. And the fact that, you know, anyway, I like to have fun sometimes. Thank you very much for watching.